Are you seeing the best pictures from Picard Star Trek? Today on Trekland Tuesdays Live with me, Dr. Trek, Larry Nemecek, episode 248. Bringing you all the best clarity, sanity, and the big picture in Star Trek right here from the heart of Trekland. Every Tuesday as we do at this time. And hey, if you're new to us, thanks for joining in. All the regulars are here. Let's get right into it. Are you seeing the best pictures from Star Trek? Because everybody's excited. Everybody's excited this week about the premiere of Picard. In fact, there may be some data out there that people are more excited about the coming of Picard than they are about seeing the season of Discovery wrap up. We've got 3 more episodes. The shows are going to overlap. The 2 series are going to overlap for 3 weeks, which is unprecedented. Lots of people love Discovery, but you know, there's just been a thing in the air this week. There's been a feeling, the trickling out of all the promos and teasers and the advanced imagery has been coming from CBS, and not only just CBS Plus or Paramount Plus or whatever it is this week, also from the creatives who are, thank goodness, this time around, able to put their nice teaserly, not too spoilery images out there. They're following in behind the spoilers that the studio's laying down. Now, look, it's been an interesting week. I just feel that buildup coming. Have you seen? This is going to get spoilery. I mean, you know, I always say this is not about the same old you see, but this week we're going to talk about the buildup for Picard and what you've been seeing and how exciting it is, and maybe exactly why you're feeling the way you are. And look, it's been kind of a wacky week. The other day, it was great. I found all these Twitter people I didn't know I had who apparently are following me, because I realized with that first batch of promo pictures that the actress April Grace, who's had a nice career over the years, is playing an admiral. She's playing Admiral Whitley, and she's there with Picard's in his study at the villa. That name ring a bell? And yes, April Grace, way back in the day, had 3 or 4 episodes playing Maggie Hubble. She worked at the helm. She was a transporter chief. I saw that, realized it, put it together, and then took the time on Twitter. Now, I could have said, hey, look, April Grace playing Maggie Hubble is back as an admiral, Admiral Whitley. Could have just said that's cool. But what came out of me from my cannon heart was, oh, look, April Grace, who was Maggie Hubble back in the day, is now an admiral. She's Admiral Whitley, though. Too bad. If she had still been Admiral Hubble, what a great statement that would have been about how far this lowly ensign, this lowly junior officer, vis-a-vis her captain at one time, was now basically, what, a peer? And I guess it's a peer, even though, what is Picard? He's retired. He's superintendent. He's commandant of the academy. I wish they'd gone with the superintendent. They did them both back in the day, but commandant always sounds so militaristic. But it's commandant. The ship sailed. He's a civilian. He's keeping his admiral's rank. We don't know that yet. But basically, they're peers. And they're a hell of a lot more peers than they were when he was captain and she was a junior officer, punching transporter buttons. Yay on April. It's good. That's cool. But I just happened to phrase it that way about the name. And so here's Twitter. Everybody's very polite. No snarky. It was a very polite exchange. But I got 47 million people saying, she got married. She changed her name. She's old-fashioned. Okay, could be. The complete patriarchal, habit of woman taking her name is not unknown in the 24th and now 25th century, 2501. It's been 2 years. 2 years since Picard season 1, which is amazing because it's been 2 real years since Picard season 1. And the writing a year or 2 before that, if you stop and think about it. So, okay. It's also let the personal stories advance for the characters over 2 years. Hey, no spoilers. It's out there. If you're trying to avoid them, then you're watching the wrong show. Because for once, we're talking hot current events. But yeah, a lot of the characters you saw in season 1 have gone back to mainstream Starfleet. Picard, one way or the other, but also Raffi and Rios are back in uniform. And it was just funny to me how the reaction of so many people stood up for, it's basically, they're right. It's a texture, not trivia thing. I wasn't complaining. I was just talking about a lost opportunity. I was not critiquing the choice. And who knows, as some people said, Maybe she got married and that's her married name. Or maybe she was married when she was Hubble and now she's gone back and remarried or gone to her maiden name. We're wrapping ourselves in all these 21st century humdrummity instead of what the 24th century might be about. And that's not what I want to talk about today. I'm just talking about, I could not believe the number of people came out of the woodwork to talk about that. I don't think it's that humdrum. It's just another aspect of how people are getting excited about joining in for Picard. The other thing was just, look, those photos that we're pulling this from, there's been all kinds of photos. And I mentioned there's teaser trailers, there's promo reels, there's the actors talking about their characters. There is a sneak peek, yay, aboard the new Stargazer, the 25th century Stargazer. Hey, no spoilers. It's out there. There's all kinds of good old-fashioned Starfleet folks that a lot of the tech heads, yep, the ship folks and the tech heads and everybody, even the costume people are freaking out over this new edition of the costumes, getting comfortable with explanations of how these different slices of 2, 3, 4, 5 year apart across the new shows, including animated, how they're settling into canon. And that's just the way things are, maybe by assignment, which was actually the original explanation for why the DS9 jumpsuits were different than the shipboard TNG uniforms, pre-gray tops. And if you watch early DS9, the first 2 or 3 years, you'll see when someone came aboard DS9 off of a ship, they were using their high-collared two-piece uniform. The original idea was those would be jumpsuits. Of course, by the time Voyager launches, everybody on the crew is wearing the station jumpsuit, not the shipboard stiff collar tailored suit. So that was out the window by then. But for a couple of years, that was the canon excuse, was that we've got different division duties and the style of the uniform was different. Okay, point being, all that video and all that photographic excitement has got a big chunk of fandom excited, and that's cool. That's just boiling up the pressure, the pressure for excitement that's coming on Thursday. Hey, there's one more that I noticed I haven't seen nobody talk about. It was in that shipboard Stargazer clip. It made me laugh. I'm going to pop some things up on social media here in the next few hours. We'll have fun with that. I'm going to save it because if I mention it now, someone will beat me to the punch. So that's all happening. It's all happening. But you know what? It made me think, as excited as people are with this video, it brings to mind once again, the studio's only doing so much. If you've been paying attention the way I always preach it, you're following a lot of these creatives on their socials, on Instagram, on Twitter, even Facebook. And that's where I want to point you to, Facebook. Because some of you were with me when John Eves asked me to host a 25th anniversary reunion on the premiere of First Contact. And it was a lot of fun. It was great because we had everybody there. We had the Akutas and Doug and John Eves and well, it was a big panel. It was a huge panel. One person, though, was with us who did not work on First Contact. In fact, he talked about being a fan, waiting in line, and then seeing the movie. It was Dave Blass, who, if you hadn't heard, is the production designer, that is head of the art department. Production designer, same title that Herman Zimmerman had, Richard James had when he was with TNG and Voyager. Everybody, he has a hand in hiring, much less channeling the overall impact, right? So people aren't running off on 15 different directions. That's the continuity. It's the choosing the people and then looking at the overall design, and everything is a conference. In this case, Dave, as he revealed that night, if you didn't know watching his socials already, is a big fan. And the reason that John had asked him to be there was not because he'd worked on First Contact, was because, look, no spoilers, it's out there. We have a Borg Queen this season. She's in a couple, the back of her head is in a couple of those, and there's images out. Dave says, I'm researching First Contact. I want to do it. He made a big made a big stand for, they're going to put their own oomph to it. They're going to update, but they're not there to revise the look. There's not a massive, that's not his philosophy. And I loved it for it. He said, we're not putting our stamp on things. We're letting their stamp hold the day, and we're updating it with materials and looks and how we shoot it. Thank you. That's the way to approach this. That's the way to approach it. So I knew, and if you're smart, you've been following Dave and other people. Terry Matalis is this season's showrunner. Aside from being the showrunner, creator, adapter of 12 Monkeys and other series between now and then, back in the day, I knew Terry as, well, he was a hardworking assistant to Brannon during the Berman era, Brannon Braga. But he's paid his dues. He sold some scripts back then and built his career as a writer the way that ladder step up does. So now, yes, he is co-running with Akiva Goldsman again, the way Michael Chabon co-showrun the first season. And, the seasons are going to have a little bit different feel, I think. But if you're wondering why all the imageries, all the photos and videos are looking so hot, why you're getting all tingly inside because it feels like Star Trek, it's because Dave is not only a fan, but here's today's point. Have you seen the best pictures of all from Picard? I'm just saying the best pictures of all are in Dave's, his socials, his Facebook and other places. He posted the entire art department for Picard and the ancillary related departments. And here's the thing I always tell the Portales, here's a little sliver of Portal 47 wisdom. Those names you see, even today, even with the credit screen multiplying and multiplying, I know it's nothing like the 60s. It's not even like the 80s and 90s of the Berman era, but you're seeing so many names in the end titles, you're still not seeing all of them. And if you take out Dave Blass's, if you subscribe, if you friend him, if you check it out, he made a point to thank and list every single person that's under his purview, under his umbrella. It's not just the art direction team. There's set dressing, there's props, there's other things too. But he starts off this list. Here's the thing. Check out these pictures. They may make your heart feel as glad as any of those other on-the-nose images are, because you go through the names he has, just stark white names on black background. He's the top production designer. You got supervising art directors. My goodness, look at all of them. Very good, very fine. Come on down to the assistant art directors. Okay. And then we've got, I don't know, it's a 10, 12 concept illustrators. You're looking over those names. And my goodness, here's John Eves. Well, no surprise. John's been part of New Star Trek, Kurtzman Trek ever since the beginning of Discovery. He had waded in on that too. But he's still there. So, yeah, he's doing a lot of work on Marvel these days. Other franchises. But whenever they need a startup, whenever they need hero ships and they need some get off the ground advice, some consulting, some conceptual illustrating, John is there. But gosh, look at the rest of this list. There's some very professional folks up and down this list, but some of them can't help but jump out at me. Because I come down from John and here's Sean Hargreaves. Here's Darren Doctorman. Doug Drexler. What is he doing there? And Jim Martin. My goodness, guys. Okay. The joke's out. This has been a little kept secret increasingly the last few weeks. I knew it a few months ago. But Dave, it's not just about the work and the corralling of the conceptual continuity, but it's also some of it is like, who and why are you hiring different people? Whether it's full-time or it's special projects. He's reached out a bunch of the golden era art department folks who are still with us and still around. Oh, they're more than with us. They're all in their prime still and contributing to Picard. My gosh, look at this list. I'm going to go on down. We've got set designers. Well, here's Scott Schneider, who has been one of those fans in the mix since the beginning of Discovery in there, fighting the good fight. But look at how many allies he has. All these folks are professional, but it comes from the top down. And not that anyone else has been unprofessional. It's about being a professional. And then on the side, just like we see with writers, the writer producers, you can't help if you're a fan to just bring that extra vibe. In this case, it was, why don't we go use, to add to our skill set we've got, to our brain trust, why not go get the folks that worked all those years, that know precisely what this Starfleet look is looking about? My gosh, go down the list of the set designers. There's Tim Earls. Oh, graphic designers. You want graphic designers. Jeff Mandel, Mike Okuda, another name that you might not be familiar with, but she was there for the next gen movies, Monica Fedrick. And then there's two from Cryptic, our friends Thomas Marone and Hector Cruz from the Cryptic side. What kind of a linkish does that imply? Dave, if you're watching his accounts, actually talked about this. He apologized for being a little capital C cryptic about this post, and he said, I'll explain later in the week, meaning, okay, after the premiere's out there. The playback team, even playback supervising engineer Ben Betts was in our first contact panel. I mean, the names don't stop. Now, he's got the prop team here, set decoration. That's kind of a stretch given the nature of those fields to have folks from the 90s still involved, although they're out there. A lot of them are out there. But then this winds up with the Twisted Media motion graphics team, which is a vendor technically. And I'm glad to say, because he's been a guest on Portal 47, Andrew Jarvis is still in here, playback graphic design lead, 3D graphics, everything from season 1 of Picard, from the fun little graphics that you saw at the archive. In fact, some cool things in the background you probably can't see, but you ought to, all the way to the incredible La Serena 3D interactive nav and helm console. The whole point of that, and keeping it straight, and the Borg Queen's interface that Seven accesses in the cube. All those pieces were Andrew, and I'm glad to see he's back. The Twisted Media team is in here. Dave is thanking them. Oh, with one more cherry on top, little credit at the bottom. Elcar's graphic advisor, Mike Okuda. Technically a second credit there. Now, this is not the final end credits of the show, I believe, because there are pages and pages after that of construction department guys and gals, the people that actually build sets. And then the sculpting and the foam team, the prop makers, all those folks that make the pieces that aren't just plywood and 2x4s, the painters, the standby painters, the foremen, the carpet layers, the laborers, there's PAs, it's amazing because most of these people, again, are not in your final credits. Being smart enough and savvy enough to go get some of the golden age Star Trek graphics folks and art folks and bring them in. All I'm saying is that is why you feel so when you've seen all these images, all this video coming out for Picard's wind-up here coming up. Yeah, I'm just going to say it. I think the best pictures of all are these pictures of text on Dave Blass's socials this week. Just want to let you know that that's why you're feeling it. I'm not saying you had to work on old Star Trek to be able to work on new Star Trek. There's no good excuse for blocking, for banning, for forbidden past talent to work on alongside everybody who's working now. And Dave is embracing it all, the best of today. And hey, the brain trust of the Berman era. And that's why it feels so good. I, again, always preach about getting on my list, gang. I always say get on the LarryNemecek.com news list at least once a month. We run polls. And this week, it was a 24-hour flash poll because I didn't get it out until Monday. I wanted to talk about this today. Here's the bottom line. I wanted to know what everybody is thinking about Picard this week. We've come a long way in 5 years. 5 years ago, the coming of Discovery, the coming of CBS All Access, and lots of Star Trek people coming face to face with apps and the whole streaming situation. Remember that? And God meant for Star Trek to be free. We've come a long way since then. We're still juggling our budgets and our money. Didn't mean that's gone away, but at least people are in the know. But you know what? A lot of folks, for different reasons, still may not be watching Picard, even with everybody feeling excited. The internet just feels excited to see Picard coming along. So our poll this week, Picard is coming. What are you doing about it? We've got split outs here. Are you watching? Are you waiting? Or are you not waiting and not watching? I gave 6-7 options here. Here's what the turnout was. And this is about 5% of my whole skew. This is not scientific. My sample is my male folks. So hardcore Star Trek folks to begin with. Lots of armchair folks, though. I shouldn't say that totally, but I'm glad to have about 5% return on this. Here's what happens. The lowest amount of answers, the smallest amount of replies, was a tie. 4.3% each for the people who said, wishing I could, but I can't tech it. I can't tech the tech to get it. So they want to, but they can't. Another 4.3% said they're going to wait. They're still going to do the get all 10 out and then do the free offer, maybe binge them in a week. Although, Discovery is overlapping 3 episodes with Picard, but Strange New Worlds premiere is going to overlap Picard's season finale. And then you're just going to want to wait for the 10 Strange New Worlds to pop out before you get that free week. I'm just saying. But that's what another small fraction said. Then just up from that, 5.8% are the people that say, well, I'm watching it, but I'm watching it with some help. So say no more. You got a friend's account, or you've just found a very friendly account that's letting you watch. Okay, thanks for your honesty. The next little sliver is expected. This is 8.7%, so it's less than 10%. These are the folks that saying, I'm not watching and I don't care to. Almost 9%. It's in the ballpark. I used to call back in the day the loud 10% of the folks who just did not like anything going on with whatever the new Trek was. And I'm talking the 80s and 90s there. But that's expected. As long as they're civil and they have their reasons, I will let anyone have any critique they want to say. Because everybody, you can't change. You might alter it with debate or alter it with listing your reasons, but we can't ever have censorship. We can have enforcement of civility. So 9% aren't planning to watch. Okay. Another 7.2%. The next one are the group that are saying, I'm going to watch it, but I'm waiting for hard media. I'm waiting for the DVD, Blu-rays. In a few months, you got a lot of stamina. You got a lot of patience, but hey, power to you. Those are the slivers. The main two chunks basically add up to about 70% because 23.1% are saying, yep, I'm watching it after disco. Because, I split the question up. You're subscribed, you're watching, but are you going to watch it before the new Discovery or wait till after? 23% say they're going to watch it after Discovery. Okay, but you know what that means? Are you doing the math at home? That means that as of now, 46.4%, almost half of those who responded on my mail list said, yeah, we're going to watch, and we're going to watch it first, which kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm saying here. Only 9% aren't. A few small percentages here and there are going to wait for the free week, or they can't. They just tech-wise cannot access it for whatever reason. But the big chunk there, 23 and 46, so that's 70%. Now notice, it's a real reflection of what I think I've heard and seen online and heard when I've had live fandom around to hear. It's sad because it makes me think that 2 years ago, again, when Picard debuted with season 1, we had live events all over here in LA. We had the live studio premiere, which was awesome. And then we had kind of a fandom premiere in Burbank, cram full tavern, all kinds of big screens. It was a fun night. We co-sponsored that. And then 2 weeks later, bam, lockdown time. It's amazing how fast things flow. I always think of season 1 Picard as being the umbrella time for when everything changed. And now, reflecting back, we're creeping out of the COVID lockdowns, hopefully, picking up some steam. Hopefully no more throwback variants are going to pop up in our face. Hopefully we're being smart about things. I'm thinking of everybody on the cruise right now. As I say this, all of our Trek cruisers are out there hoping everybody's staying safe. They all went through the protocols to get there. Hopefully they will have to wait till they disembark next weekend. Surely, and don't call me Shirley, they're going to be able to see the Picard premiere or even more. And they'll see this week's disco episode too, hopefully. I'm sure of it. There'll be a lot of shutdown socials with teasers, if not on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So they're into it. We're here. There's the virtual premiere for Picard tomorrow on Wednesday. And then the world at large will see at least the first episode overnight, Wednesday into Thursday. And then, yes, all the folks on Amazon Prime around the world, unless something crazy stops in 2 days, they're going to see it Friday. And we will have a glimpse of what all of this excitement over the early sneak peeks, video, the imagery, are all about. Anyway, I was glad to. Thanks, everybody. Hey, it's up there. If you haven't opened your email, you can still go ahead and click in, and I'll kind of follow along the results, even though this is the main time I'll report it out. If something significantly changes, or I'll follow it for a week or two. Some people are a little slow looking at their email, I know. Go ahead if you haven't yet. If you're watching this and you're on my list, go ahead and vote. Sure, we'll track it. And if you're not on my list, why not? So sure, get excited for what you're seeing. It's only a day or two away from when you're going to see the real premiere episodes in the flesh. But for now, when you feel that golden glow More golden than Operations Mustard. There's a good reason. There's a good reason. Up and down the line, I'm sure are going to be bragging about their little nooks and crannies, as will all the newer folk who are working in the art department, who are active with their socials too. It's great when you see that fly by. Go click and follow them. I'm sure you'll be on the cutting edge of telltale bits and pieces and clues and cool stuff. And thank you once again to Paramount Plus and the increasingly slightly liberalized version here. We've come so far from 5 years when the original CBS Access was so paranoid they were stomping down on anything generic anybody wanted to post. We have come a long way in those 5 years. Thank goodness. People are having fun. Everybody gets it. Everybody gets how to have fun. And look at the buzz this week. If you're here with us live on Tuesdays, you'll know, and I'm going to look at them here in a second, you'll know just how this is reflecting in the parent analytics, which is the metric, as one company's metric for measuring popularity among relative series in the all digital world, because we don't have Nielsen's, or Nielsen's are badly trying to cover the digital world where the ratings aren't public because we don't have commercials. Yeah. If you're with us live, you're here for the chat and you're here for the parrots as well as the soapbox. So join us sometime on Tuesdays. Tuesday at 1 p.m. ish Pacific, 4 Eastern, 9 UK time, and 10 Central Europe time. Otherwise, I think I'm going to leave you, YouTube, just to say that aside from the folks that helped bring us, a big thank you to all of them. Yay, right? Our Patreon here, our TTLers. Diana Hopkins, Robin Wilson, Lawrence Todd, Anne-Marie Siegel, Keith Rombach, Justin Porteous, Nathaniel Robinson, and Blaze K. And our live wires. Yep, Rusty Harrell, Halberd Gunn Johnson, Robert McLean, Alan Hohensi, J.R. Pohl, Byron Bailey, Dave Gregory. Hey, our newest Patreon, thank you very much, Gay Clevin Lundstrom, and Kay Sushafsky. My Patreon, I keep it very simple. It's just $5 and 10 bucks a month for a shout out every week. The $10 level gets our live wires get access to my first generation Portal 47 interviews. It's patreon.com/Trekland Live. You know, they take it out once a month if you're not familiar with Patreon. I'd love to have you with us. We're slowly expanding across all these Trekland channels. Hey, the Trek Files, our podcast from Roddenberry, is up this week as it is every Tuesday as well. This week, we've got Fran Taylor. I don't normally have fans as my guests, but Fran is not just a podcast host. I'm talking to her because she bridges the decades, and she is a woman of color who has been a fan since the 60s and 70s. And our document this week is about the generation gap from 1971. A lot of fun there. Check us out if you haven't. The Trek Files. You too could be a Trekophiles spelled with an F. Meanwhile, if you have not heard the news, Life Support Live, Dr. Ali Matu and Dr. Trek, boldly going through uncertain times. One of us is a real doctor. We are ending the weekly series. I know. We're ending the weekly, but we're not ending the brand. We're going to be around for specials. We're going to be around for live con events. But we are bringing the weekly podcast, which was born of the pandemic. We said for the duration. We announced this Saturday. It's not news, but now you guys are hearing it here. March 19th, Saturday, March 19th will be our last. It'll be a normal 2-hour show. It will be part of the virtual TrekCon 3 programming, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, right? 6 UK time, 7 European. Will not only be part of virtual TrekCon 3 with extra eyeballs watching as we close out. Ali and I, if everything works well, are going to be together. We will be live together, not our split screen. So if you've never joined us for one, the Lifers is a great community. Hey, the Facebook page, the Discord, it's all staying. We're not going anywhere, and we will resurrect Life Support Live from time to time. The weekly show, there's a new little one coming to the Matu household. That's a big reason for this. But it was time. It was time. As we all come out of the pandemic and get back to normal, hopefully it's a new normal, things move on. But then again, if you want to hang on with me, it's at Larry Nemecek at Twitter. And everywhere you're watching me right now, Larry Nemecek's Trekland. That's YouTube. Please like and subscribe. That's Facebook. And that's my Instagram. And of course, if you really want a deep dive with me and the Portales, our great community, it's like a mini-con every month, the whole package. Oftentimes during the month. Portal47.net. Check it out. That's it. I hope, again, we added a little something, something to all those smiles you're carrying around this week as you glimpse these Picard videos, as you glimpse the images. More to come, I'm sure, in the next couple of days until the world is able to see it. And thank you to everybody who jumped in on the poll. Again, LarryNemecek.com. Go over there, sign up. You'll get some free video bits from my archives too, including our amazing interview with Robert Butler, the director of The Cage, who is still with us and sharing his opinions and his insights and his history. Welcome to Trekland. Join us on Tuesdays live if you can, YouTubers. For now, if you're leaving us, stay healthy, everybody. Okay. Stay woke, check your sources, and then if they're legit, listen to what they might have to say. Most of all, trek well, everybody.